Today we are going to create a very simple Spring Boot application. We will start at the main Spring page, which is spring.io, and from there we will traverse to the Spring Initiailzer at start.spring.io, and we are going to make a few adjustments here. We're going to change the project type to Maven. We're going to keep the language at Java, and we'll select version 3.2.4, the latest stable release of Spring Boot, and we'll change some of the project metadata. Change this to carpet, my Spring Boot app, and we'll say basic or simple. Okay, and the package name will be automatically complete. If we wanted to, we could change this, but we'll leave it there. The packaging we'll maintain as jar, and we'll select the JDK 17. Now we simply click the generate button here, and what will happen is the website will download a zip file called my Spring Boot app, which is the name that we set over here. And for me, I automatically have it expand, but it might be different for you, so you may have to expand this zip file. And what I can do now is, if I wanted to, I could go to my command line and go to this directory, and I can see that there's a number of files here. If I wanted to, I could just install this and test it. If I do that, it'll look something like this. By the way, I happen to be running Java version 17 is configured on this machine at the moment. So that's great. It looks like it ran, it did some compilation, it installed some files in my local Maven repository, and it ran through some unit tests here. So let's see what this would look like in Eclipse. So over here in Eclipse, we could import a project, go to existing Maven project, and from here we'll go to my downloads, to this area. You can see it relies on this POM file here, so we'll just pull this in here. Great, so I've got that set up. So let's look at the files that it created. It's got this whole structure here. The Java files that are included are in this package. There's one main file, main Java class, that has the annotation Spring Boot Applicaiton. And there's also a unit test in here, or sorry, we'll get back to that other property file in a second. There's also a unit test area in here. Here you can just see this thing is marked as a Spring Boot test, and you can also go ahead and annotate any tests that you have. And here you'd put in some assertions, or whatever you'd like to do for your testing. And there's also some other files that come included. One's called this HELP.md, which is a markdown file. If we look at that, it's got some helpful access points to some interesting websites related to the project. We can go there. We can also go to, there's another one for getting right to the plugin reference. That's great. And then also there are there's a maven-w, and which is effectively a shell script for running this if you wanted to run it using that shell script. If you're on a Windows platform, there'd also be a maven-w.cmd, which is effectively a batch file for a Windows environment. And the one that we really, or let's go back before we get to the POM, let's look at the application properties that comes with it. And it's just got a simple entry here. This is the main application.properties files for a Spring application. By default, this gets read in when you launch your Spring Boot application. There's also a pom.xml, which is related to the Maven project that we have. And if you look at this closely, you can see some of the information that we provided earlier, like the group, the artifact ID. The other thing that is in here is the version for Spring that we're interested in. And you'll notice that it derives from this parent Spring Boot starter parent. If you look down farther, you might recall we selected JDK 17, so that's going to be important in here. And there's nothing much else in here. So here we can also do what we did before. We can run a maven install, and we'll see similar output as we saw on the command line. You can see it running some Spring unit tests in here. There's one in here. And I think that's about it. That's all we really wanted to show today. Thanks for watching.